Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Well, the coasters made such a big hit that I got a request for more of them. To make that happen, I wanted to use the bandsaw to cut the wood. Now, if I have enough clearance, I'll be all set. If not, I'm going to have to come up with a different way to go at this. Nope, I'm not going to be able to make it. I can only cut 6 inches. Maybe we can do it from both sides. One slice off, but it cut way too thin on one edge. See how that does. Well, I have 2 well-cut pieces. This one's fairly straight on both sides. This one is straight on one side. So I think I'll be able to get 2 more coasters out of this, and we'll go from there. Now I have to take it off of this thing and glue a board onto that, and glue a board onto this one, and we'll go from there. A little bit of boiled linseed oil to put on something. These are coasters. Some of you guys have seen these already. I've made up a batch of these. Now I'm making up another batch. Made 3 the first time and 3 more this time. Hopefully, we're going to have 6 if this all works like I want. That's going to be a good spot to dry them out. I don't need to have them set up like that right now. Really, I just want to get some boiled linseed oil on them and get them going. Okay. Now, some of you guys are having problems with boiled linseed oil. Boiled linseed oil is actually very simple to use. It is, boiled linseed oil is a oil from linseed. And it's an organic. That means it is made from plant material, sap. And the way it sets up, it oxidizes. In other words, combines with oxygen from the atmosphere and catalyzes. Now, to make that happen, you have to have a couple of things. You have to have boiled linseed oil, and you have to have oxygen. So you don't want to make this stuff up, put it on a part, and then put the part in a baggie to dry. Because it won't. It'll sit there for a long, long time. You saw that I pulled the rag that I'm using out of a jar of linseed oil. What I do is I mix up the linseed oil about 50-50 with odorless mineral spirits. I get the odorless mineral spirits at Walmart because it's inexpensive. And I'm just getting these up off the table so that they'll dry a little easier. Gets air all the way around it. If I set them on the plastic, it would not dry out. It wouldn't catalyze because there wouldn't be any air for it to combine with. Check and make sure my camera's still working. Yeah, we're doing good. And I'm not too fussy about how I put it on there because this first coat, it's going to soak right in. This second coat is going to soak right in. Now, why is that? Because I know some of you guys are going, well, the stuff just sits on the surface and stays like a lump. Well, I mix it 50-50. The 50% mineral spirits makes it thin, so it wants to wick right into the surface of the wood, just like water. And it doesn't sit on the surface. Now, why do I want to do that? Well, remember, this stuff sets up in the presence of oxygen. So the thinner it is, the thinner the coating is, the more oxygen gets through and makes this stuff catalyze. If you leave it thick, just straight linseed oil and pour it on something, it will set up, but it might take a month. Yep, might take a month. And I don't know if any of us wants to wait a month for one of our projects to be done. We're usually in the business of getting it started and over and on to the next one. And I'm wearing rubber gloves. Some people say, oh, you don't need to wear rubber gloves, it's organic. Well, for one thing, it sets up. Gets hard as a rock. Doesn't come off. So you walk around with dark spots on your fingers for quite a while. The other thing is, this is not pure linseed oil. This is called boiled linseed oil because they used to make it set up faster by boiling it. Now, it's highly flammable. So boiling it wasn't exactly something that was easily done, and it was a messy, nasty process. So they came up with a way of using metallic salts. Most salts are metallics. Sodium chloride, potassium chloride, those are both metals. So metallic salts, kind of like saying pizza. Now, I put a new rag in the jar, and the new rag is losing threads pretty fast. So I'm wiping off the threads from the surface. And I was using the tongs to hold the dauber, not because it's necessary, just that way I had it in my hand, I could dump it, put it down into the jar and get some more boiled linseed oil on it. Just want to make sure I got it well coated and I don't have anything stuck on the surface that I'm going to have to shave off later. I want to have this stuff set up nice, straight and clean, act like a good little job that I want it to be. And there. Now, this can set up till morning. The thing I do to store the rag, because if you leave this rag out sitting on the table like that, this rag's pretty small. It might not get hot enough to catch fire. But this stuff catalyzes. Remember what I said? Catalyzing? Catalyzing is where it mixes with oxygen. It's kind of like burning. And if you let it do it too much, it will catch fire. So I put it in the jar, and it stays wet, never dries out. There isn't enough oxygen in the jar to make it happen, because oxygen is only 20% of the atmosphere. And I don't know exactly how much it does need to go off here. Some of you may be able to correct me on that, but I know from past experience that putting it in that jar like that, it will just sit there nice and calm and not do anything. It doesn't get warm enough because it has a place for the heat to go. It doesn't catalyze in there because there's not much oxygen, and it's covered in linseed oil, so it doesn't have a whole lot of oxygen available. So that's how you do it. Works really good. This is almost dry already. I put 2 coats on it, making sure I get those little bits of sawdust and rag off of there, because boiled linseed oil will act like glue and stick stuff to it. That's why you don't want to leave 2 of these sitting together, because they will become one. They get real friendly and become one. Okay, these won't get hot enough to burn because they're just sitting there in open air, and it's not a whole lot of surface area. I mean, it's a large flat surface, but it's not. A rag has a large amount of surface area in a small area, because the thread has surface area around the whole thing. And if you take and look at this sock, that's a whole lot of surface area in there. Well, that gives the boiled linseed oil someplace to inhale a whole bunch of oxygen, and makes the reaction go faster. She catches fire. So there. Now we have 3 coasters. Rough looking, but we found that they kind of nice. They go well with our house. If you got a potted plant, or you want to put something up a little bit off the table. When these are all dried out, I put a coat of wax on them, and the wax is water resistant. Nothing is waterproof, just like nothing is bulletproof. It all depends on the size of the bullet or the amount of water. So wax makes it water resistant, makes it hydrophobic. So it doesn't try and absorb water, it tries to shed it. So that's the way I've made my coasters. Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. I'm down here in my basement workshop, which is soon to be just basement. We're building a new building. And this is all going to go out there, and I will have a place where I can be as loud and as stinky as I want. Great thing to have. Now, this is my favorite wax. This is Butcher's Boston Polish Amber Paste Wax. And I ran this can is, if it's not totally empty, it's as close as I could get it by wiping a rag in there. There's just a few dried flakes left. Smells vaguely of turpentine. I'm assuming that's one of the ingredients. And I went without it. Using Minwax Paste Finishing Wax, which works, but it doesn't have the same smell to it. And the Butcher's Boston Polish, that's something my mom used on the antique furniture that she made. Well, she didn't make antique furniture. She made reproductions of antique furniture using kits that she bought. And the house always smelled of it. It's not an unpleasant smell at all. It actually smells great to me. Some people might not like it, but to me, it smells like home. So, when I ran out of this stuff, and I had been using this for a while, this can's about half gone. It tells you how long I've been trying it. I finally found Boston Polish Wax, the BWC company. And this place makes the same formula as the Boston Polish. Amber Paste Wax. Boston Polish is an amber paste wax. It is a blend of carnauba wax and other waxes mixed in with turpentine and mineral spirits. It does not contain any silicone or beeswax. It cleans and polishes to a hard finish and leaves a soft satin luster on wood and other surfaces. Love this stuff. You can buy it online. I think I still got a link to it somewhere. If I do, I'll leave it in the description below. Now, why am I wearing a glove? Because is this stuff hazardous? No, it's not hazardous. It just makes my fingers sticky, and then I have to go wash my hands before I can do anything else. Now, I don't use this on butcher blocks. For that, I use mineral oil, not mineral oil. I use vegetable oil. Same old stuff that you fry things in. And I just leave the rag in the can of polish because the rag always absorbs some. And if I constantly change the rag, I'm throwing away wax that could be going onto the part. And I'm nothing if I'm not frugal. Now, why is that on there? Well, it's because this was the butt end of the last piece of wood this size that I could cut this shape out of. And if I tried to make this go away, I'd end up with a paper thin piece of wood out here on the end that's not supported. So I decided, you know, this one's going to be unique. It's got a little lip on it. When it sits, it'll rock if you put weight on that. This side, rather than turning, I sanded it. I turned this side to get rid of it was really thick in this edge because this was a wedge shape. It was a wedge shape about like that. So it was really thick on this side. I glued my block to this side, turned off this side, and said, good enough, good enough. We're going to stop here. And so I did. Now, this is mulberry wood. Took a long time to figure it out, but there's a kind of white mulberry that doesn't have any fruit. I don't know how it reproduces. I've never seen seeds. It does seem to grow in thickets, so it either grows up from the roots or it has some kind of seed that I've not discovered yet. But in any case, the whole back edge of the property is covered in this stuff. And I thought it was Osage orange for a while. Actually, about 10 years. I thought it was Osage orange, but it looked like mulberry, and it didn't have Osage orange fruit on it. It just had leaves that looked like mulberry trees. And it had the purple sap that a mulberry tree has. There. Put that rag back in there. It's ready for the next time I need it. Yep, that's the sock on my hand. Waste not, want not. You get a hole in the sock, you don't throw the sock away. You use it up. Now John, who we all know as Scout Crafter, uses birdseed bags to protect his bench. I have a water softener, so I use water softener bags. Same material, does the same job. It's funny, this says extends appliance life, makes my bench last longer. And now we have a set of 6. 3 the first batch, 3 more in the second batch. I think this is all I've got because I'm out of wood. Unless I find another chunk of wood of a similar age and disposition. John, who we all affectionately know as Scout Crafter, uses birdseed bags. I use Morton Clean and Protect water softener pellets bags because I have a water softener. Keeps my bench top from getting all messed up, and it works quite well. So now I have 3 additional coasters to match the original 3. These are the last that I can make because I'm out of wood of this shape and size. To get a natural edge, I wanted to turn this in a lathe, and this is as big as I can turn on the metal lathe. I can possibly do it on the wood lathe because I can go out to 12 inches on that, but a 12-inch coaster is kind of big. So I think these are the last, but they've been fun, interesting, and Lydia loves them. So hits all 3 buttons. If you have any suggestions for new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop it out in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union without the express written permission of the parents or the legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.